What if the little girl I ignored at that stoplight turned out to be my daughter? I never thought I'd say those words. I never thought one rainy afternoon would unravel everything I thought I knew about my past, about love loss, and the kind of pain that never really goes away. But there she was, soaked, shivering, and staring at me with the exact same eyes I had buried 3 years ago when my daughter Sophie died. At first I told myself it was just grief playing tricks on me. But something inside me, deep, undeniable, refused to look away. And what I discovered after following her into that rundown shelter changed my life forever. If you stay with me for the next few minutes, I promise you'll witness a truth so raw, so shocking, that it will make you question everything about fate, about timing, and about second chances. Because sometimes the child we think we lost comes back in the most unexpected way. David Carter blinked hard, his hands tightening around the steering wheel as the rain pelted the windshield of his BMW. She looked just like Sophie, exactly like her. Was I losing my mind? The traffic light on Michigan Avenue had turned green 10 seconds ago, but he hadn't moved. Behind him, impatient horns screamed. He didn't care. There she was, standing alone on the sidewalk, soaked to the bone, hugging her knees on the steps of a shuttered corner store. A little girl no older than 10, her dark curls clinging to her cheeks, lips trembling from the cold. But what gripped David like a vice around his chest wasn't just the fact that she looked pitiful. It was because she looked exactly like Sophie, his daughter who had died 3 years ago in a car accident alongside his wife Karen. The same wide eyes, the same defiant tilt of her chin. David could barely breathe. Without thinking, he pulled the car over and jumped out, ignoring the rain drenching his expensive suit. The girl didn't move until he was only a few feet away. "Hey," he said, gently crouching down. "Are you all right?" The girl's head jerked up. Her eyes scanned him quickly, his expensive jacket, gleaming watch-polished shoes, and immediately hardened. "Don't talk to me," she snapped out, scrambling to her feet. "I don't need anything from you." "You're shivering," David said, standing, but keeping a respectful distance. "Let me help you get somewhere warm." She stepped back. "People like you always want something in return. My mom warned me about that." David froze. "Where is your mom?" She didn't hesitate. "She's dead. Been dead 6 months." That hit him like a punch. There was something in the girl's voice, a raw wound trying to sound like armor. David took a cautious step forward, but she turned on her heel and took off running. "Wait," I said, "leave me alone." But David didn't stop. Not because he wanted to chase a child, but because something in his gut told him this wasn't just coincidence. That girl, she wasn't just anyone. He needed to know more. He had to. She disappeared into an old building, ducking inside before slamming the door. David caught up seconds later and knocked. A woman opened the door, older, in her 60s, graying hair tied in a bun. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "Mr. Carter," she gasped. "What are you doing here?" David blinked, confused. "Do I know you?" "It's me, Linda, sir. I used to look after Sophie when she was little." Now it was David's turn to be stunned. "Linda, my God, it's been years. What are you doing here?" "I work here. This is St. Mary's Children's Home. That girl you followed, her name is..." Emily, Linda said slowly, then added, "And you need to come inside. We have something to talk about." Inside a cramped, cluttered office that smelled faintly of old wood and lemon disinfectant, Linda's hands shook as she unlocked a drawer and pulled out a worn yellow envelope. "You don't know who that girl is, do you?" she asked. David shook his head, heart thudding. "She's the daughter of Rachel Thomas." His blood ran cold. "Rachel," he whispered. "Rachel Thomas." The name dragged up a tidal wave of memories. A shy smile, Sunday mornings in bed, the smell of lavender shampoo. Rachel, the woman who had captured his heart before he married Karen, and who had vanished from his life just before his wedding. "She told me to give this to you if you ever came looking," Linda said, sliding the envelope across the desk. "She wrote it 11 years ago." David sat down, hands trembling as he opened the envelope. Inside was a folded piece of notebook paper, written in a delicate, looping hand he knew all too well. "David, I'm 3 months pregnant. I know you're marrying Karen in 2 weeks, but I need you to know this baby is yours. I tried calling, but your fiance's mother told me never to contact you again. I don't want to ruin your life. If someday you want to meet your child, I'll be waiting. With love, Rachel. David's vision blurred. He couldn't breathe. Why didn't I get this? She never reached out again. She tried, Linda said quietly. She called your office, came by in person, but your mother-in-law, Mrs. Whitmore, had her thrown out. Rachel was 20, broke, terrified. She thought you didn't care. David stood pacing toward the small window. Outside in the muddy yard, he saw Emily sitting on a splintered bench, sketching something in a notebook. She's my daughter, he said. She never even knew. No, Linda said. Rachel never told her your name, just said her father was a good man who didn't know she existed. David didn't sleep that night. He walked circles in his penthouse, rereading the letter a dozen times, running his fingers over the fading ink like it could explain the years he had lost. At 6 a.m., he drove to a private lab. I need a confidential paternity test, he told the doctor. Understood, the man replied. We'll need DNA from both of you. David returned to St. Mary's later that morning, dressed in casual clothes, pretending to volunteer. He served breakfast to the kids and managed to collect a cup Emily had used. He washed dishes beside Linda, eyes constantly drawn to the girl sitting alone at the end of the cafeteria. He couldn't look away, couldn't let go. That evening, with the samples secured and the test underway, David made a decision that frightened him more than any boardroom deal. He would stay close quietly and earn her trust before the results even came. He didn't know how to be a father, but he knew what it felt like to lose a daughter, and this time he wouldn't walk away. If you were in David's shoes, would you tell Emily the truth right away or wait until she trusts you? Let me know in the comments. 3 days. That was how long David waited for the DNA results. 3 sleepless nights, 3 endless days pretending to be just another volunteer at St. Mary's Children's Home, keeping a safe distance, while Emily watched him with suspicion, sharp enough to cut glass. He memorized her routines. She always sat at the far end of the dining hall. She drew in the same tattered notebook every afternoon. She never let anyone touch her food, and she never not once smiled. On the 3rd morning, his phone rang. David froze when he saw the number. Mr. Carter, said the doctor on the other end. We've completed the analysis. The probability of paternity is 99.9%. David didn't answer. The silence roared. She's your daughter, sir. The words felt like a hammer hitting bone. He barely remembered the drive to the shelter. When he arrived, Linda noticed the look on his face and pulled him aside. It's true, isn't it? He nodded once. What are you going to do? I have to tell her. I can't keep this from her. She won't take it well. I know. Then why do it now? David looked through the hallway window. Emily sat beneath the old maple tree in the courtyard, legs crossed, scribbling something in her notebook. Because if I wait, he said quietly, I'll lose the chance to say it right. He walked out into the courtyard, heart pounding harder with every step. Emily didn't look up until his shadow fell across her notebook. Her eyes narrowed. You again, she muttered. Don't you have some billionaire meeting to get to? I need to tell you something. Something important. She slammed her notebook shut. If it's pity, you can keep it. I've had enough of that to last a lifetime. It's not pity, he said, lowering himself to the grass in front of her. It's the truth, and I should have told you sooner. Emily crossed her arms. Fine. What is it? David hesitated. There was no easy way, no script for this moment. Just a heart full of regret and a truth too big to carry anymore. Your mom, Rachel, she and I knew each other a long time ago. Emily flinched, her arms dropped. How do you know her name? He took a breath that felt like diving into deep water. Because she was the love of my life before I got married. And because she was pregnant when we parted ways. She tried to reach me, but I never got the message. Emily didn't move, didn't blink. David's voice cracked. Emily, I'm your father. The world stopped. A long, suffocating silence filled the courtyard. The breeze rustled the leaves, but neither of them breathed. Then explosion. You're lying, she screamed, leaping to her feet, backing away. This is a sick joke. Why would you say that? It's true, David said, standing slowly. I have a letter. From your mother, a DNA test. "Stop talking," she shouted, eyes glistening with tears. "You rich people think you can say anything and make it true. You think you can buy your way into someone's life just because you feel guilty?" "I didn't know," he said, stepping forward. "I didn't know you existed." "If I had, don't," she cried. "Don't say that. Every kid without a dad hears the same excuse. If you cared, you would have looked." "I tried," he said, voice trembling. "But by the time I did, it was too late." Emily was shaking now, fists clenched. "My mom died thinking you didn't want us. You have no right to show up now and call yourself anything." Tears streamed down her face and David couldn't bear it. "I know I'm late. I know I can't fix the past. But I am here now and I get out," she screamed, turning and running toward the building. David started after her, but Linda appeared in the doorway and blocked him gently. "Let her go," she said. "She needs time. I can't lose her." "You already did," Linda whispered. "Now you have to earn her back." David spent the rest of the day sitting in the courtyard under a gray sky, staring at the door Emily had disappeared through. He returned the next morning, and the next, and the one after that. He helped clean bathrooms, served breakfast, scrubbed floors, fixed broken sinks, all while Emily avoided him like a ghost. Until one afternoon, 3 days later, she came out of her room. She didn't look at him, just sat on the bench across the courtyard with her notebook silently drawing. David waited 10 minutes before approaching. "Can I sit?" She shrugged. He sat down, careful to keep space between them. Silence stretched for several minutes. "What do you want now?" she finally muttered. "Just to talk, or to listen, or neither." "I can just sit." She sighed, flipping a page. "Why are you still here?" "Because I'm not giving up on you. Because I should have fought for you a long time ago." Emily glanced at him, her eyes still guarded. "What if I don't forgive you? Then I'll still be here." "Why?" "Because you're my daughter, and I want to learn how to be your dad, if you'll let me." A long silence, then softly, "I don't need a dad." David swallowed the lump in his throat. "Maybe not, but I need a daughter." That broke something. Emily turned away quickly, wiping her eyes. "You're not going to buy me things and expect me to forget everything, right?" "No, I won't try to buy your love. I just want a chance." Another long pause. Then she reached into her backpack and handed him a folded piece of paper. He opened it. It was a pencil drawing him and her sitting on a bench. He looked up. "Does that mean—" "It means maybe you're not a complete jerk," she said, standing up. "But don't get excited." As she walked away, she added without turning back, "You can come back tomorrow, if you want." David's heart almost burst. One drawing, one fragile step, but it was enough. "And you? If you had 10 years of silence with someone you loved, what would you say first if you had the chance to finally speak?" Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The days that followed moved slowly, but with purpose, like early spring sunlight creeping through a frosted window. David returned to St. Mary's Children's Home every morning without fail, just like he had promised. He never pushed, never pried. He simply showed up. And little by little, Emily let him in. It started with a smile, small, barely there, but real. Then a conversation about her drawings. Then a shared joke over burnt toast. And one afternoon, she looked up from her notebook and asked, "Do you know how to fix a leaky faucet?" David laughed. "Not a clue, but if you're willing to get your hands dirty, I'll learn." From that moment on, they weren't just two people with a painful history. They were a father and daughter stumbling toward something new. Then came the night that changed everything. Linda had been coughing for weeks, but that evening she could barely stand. David found her collapsed in the office, pale and shaking. He rushed her to the hospital, holding her hand the entire drive, trying to stay calm for Emily, who sat silently in the back seat, her face pale with fear. At the ER, as doctors took Linda inside, she pressed something into Emily's hand, a small silver USB drive. "What is this?" Emily whispered. Linda smiled weakly. "Your mother left it for you, said it was only for when you were ready." Hours later, back at David's penthouse for the first time, Emily sat on the edge of the expensive leather couch, clutching the drive like it held the key to everything she never understood. "Are you sure you want to watch it?" David asked gently. She nodded. He inserted the drive into his laptop and the screen came to life. There she was, Rachel thinner, paler, her hair short from chemo, but still with that soft, kind smile David remembered, like a whisper. "Hi, my love," Rachel's voice cracked on the recording. "If you're watching this, I'm probably gone, and I'm so sorry." Emily pressed a hand over her mouth. "I want to tell you about your dad," Rachel said. "His name is David Carter, and I want you to know he's not a bad man. Life just got complicated. I never stopped loving him. I never wanted to keep you from him. I just didn't know how to make it right." Tears rolled down Emily's face. "Please, if you ever meet him, give him a chance. He won't be perfect, but he'll love you with everything he has. I promise." The video ended with Rachel blowing a kiss to the camera. The silence in the room was deafening. Emily looked up, eyes swollen. "She didn't hate you," David's throat tightened. "No, and I never stopped loving her." Emily nodded slowly, then something shifted in her. Something fragile and aching began to heal. She walked over to David, placed the flash drive in his hand, and whispered, "Thank you for bringing her back to me." They didn't say much after that, but that night when Emily asked, "Can I stay here?" David didn't hesitate. "You can stay as long as you want." Days turned into weeks. They adopted a German shepherd named Rocky, who followed Emily around like her personal shadow. David traded his luxury apartment for a modest house in a quiet neighborhood near Emily's school. It wasn't about the size, it was about starting over somewhere real. They hung Rachel's photo in the living room, not as a reminder of loss, but as a piece of their story, a thread that connected all of them. David volunteered at the shelter on weekends, teaching basic life skills to the older kids. Emily helped too, showing others how to draw, how to fold laundry, how to be patient with themselves. She was still learning that last part. One morning over pancakes, Emily looked up and asked, "Do you regret it?" David paused. "What missing 10 years?" He met her eyes. "I regret every second I didn't know you, but I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere." She smiled. "Good, because I still suck at math and I need help with my homework." He laughed. "Deal." On Sundays, they visited Rachel's grave. Emily always brought yellow flowers, her mom's favorite. Sometimes she spoke, sometimes she just sat in silence, but she always left with a little more peace. One afternoon, as they were leaving the cemetery, Emily said softly, "I think she'd be proud of us." David nodded, choking back tears. "I think so too." That night, Emily curled up on the couch with Rocky and handed David her latest sketch. It was a drawing of their little house, the three of them on the front porch. Rocky had a goofy grin. Rachel's picture hung in the window. Above them, a banner read, "Home." David couldn't speak. He just pulled her close and held her until they both fell asleep. Their story hadn't started perfectly, but somehow it had led them here. And here was everything. Now let me ask you, have you ever given someone a second chance that changed your life? What does family mean to you, blood love or something else? How did you feel about Emily and David's journey? Thank you so much for staying with us through this emotional story. If you loved it, comment no point 3 below. If you felt neutral, comment no point 2. And if it didn't touch you, yet feel free to leave no point 1. Your honest feedback helps us grow. Also, tell us, where are you watching from? We'd love to hear from every corner of the world. And if this story meant something to you, don't forget to tap the heart, and share it with someone who believes in forgiveness and fresh beginnings. See you in the next heartwarming story.